North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer. Great to see you this morning, Senator. So I know it will be a much lighter week for you compared to last week, where you fought hard for a lot of Trump's picks who had hearings. I know you were in the room for Scott Turner, Lee Zeldin, Doug Collins, Doug Burgum, Kristi Noem, and of course Pete Hegseth as well. I want to start with now Secretary Hegseth. Was there ever a doubt for you that he wouldn't be confirmed?
There was not, actually, and it's interesting because the legacy media that run around the Capitol hallways, they were convinced that he was in trouble, and yet there was never really anybody that's expressed that they were a hard no right up until the vote itself. And in fact, when we ended up with 3 no votes to make it a 50-50 tie, I'm not even so sure we wouldn't have had whoever we needed. In other words, I don't think he was ever really in doubt after about the first week of meeting with senators. But they like to create doubt. And by the way, I think that's true of a couple of the other ones that you talked about that are having hearings this week. If there's not a fight, there's not a news story. But by and large, we're doing very well. In fact, after last night's vote for Besant, we now have a third of the cabinet confirmed, and 4 more cloture filed by Senator Thune, 4 people who received bipartisan support in committee. In fact, 3 of them received overwhelming bipartisan support. So, and then we'll confirm Sean Duffy by noon today for transportation, and he came out unanimous. So we'll see.
And I know that you served as Kristi Noem's Senate Sherpa, if you will. I know that you know her well after serving 3 terms with her in Congress, and you introduced her at her hearing in front of the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. What leadership does she bring to her new role as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security? Yeah,
so that's a great question, because the confirmations we've done so far are all sort of in that national security space, which is the highest priority. Kristi, to me, she was like tailor-made to be Homeland Security Secretary, starting with her, her 6 years or 8 years in Congress, where she learned and understands how to maneuver Congress. Not a small matter. It's important. The second thing is she was a governor. Governors deal with FEMA. They deal with immigration. They deal with work visas. They deal with the fentanyl crisis. And bringing that executive experience is really important. But what I would say most of all for Kristi grew up on a ranch. Ranchers in the Dakotas protect their children, they protect their home, they protect their livestock. No one else is going to do it for them. So the sense of a Homeland Security head that grew up on a ranch, a ranch woman, lost her father at a very young age. This is somebody that knows how to fight for the right things.
Yeah, she certainly has a lot of grit, for sure. I know that you are not on the committees that we'll hear from RFK Jr., Kash Patel, or Tulsi Gabbard this week, but obviously your vote is a very important one when it comes to the Senate floor. Do you have any doubts about any of those 3?
I really don't. It's interesting. Tulsi and I were classmates in the House. In fact, her and Kristi were pretty good friends in the House. And of course, she was a Democrat. And so I know her pretty well. I think she's got the right stuff. There's some concern, obviously, among Republicans for anybody who a few months ago was a Democrat. But I rather like conversion stories, and I think in the case of RFK, politically speaking, he brought a lot of people to the Trump vote, I believe. And I have some daughters and a wife who really appreciate his advocacy for health and for good nutrition. And while they're sort of out of the box picks, Donald Trump's an out of the box president. And I just think they're going to be fine. They're very convincing when you meet them in person as well. And that's the big thing, is that they take the time to meet with senators, not just on the committee, but other senators, and forge relationships and become accessible. And the biggest thing for senators is not so much, philosophy matters, but it's less about that and more about access and transparency and a working relationship on developing policies and being quick to respond to requests for information. And that's something we have not had for a very long time. And both Republican and Democratic senators will tell you that the last administration was not very transparent with Congress.
I like how you put that, an out-of-the-box president. All right, Senator, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.